agenda. You,
I have to cancel the one item for Mr. Lucky, that's 5-1, please, and he couldn't be here tonight.
okay, thank you. Councilor Peel, do you have any changes to the agenda?
I have nothing, Your Worship.
Councilor Peterson?
I have nothing, Your Worship.
And Councilor Sullivan? Nothing, Your Worship. Councilor Wilson?
Thank you, I have nothing, Your Worship.
Thank you. And Deputy Mayor?
Your Worship, just one, I guess I'm not sure where to put it, perhaps. I guess we could probably call it as 10-1, Strathmore Ag Society. And Your Worship, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just trying to remember if I had anything that I wanted to bring forward. At the end, I will make a notation in regards to a CRP meeting that was held today, and we'll do that as 10.2. CRP meeting that was held today in regards to the Growth Management Board. And administration, do you have anything?
Yes, Your Worship, we have 4 additions. Item 2.5, item pertaining to confidential evaluations. Item 2.6, item pertaining to advice from officials. We have item 8.3, council committee appointment procedures. And item 8.4, agreement with the federal government. That's it, Your Worship.
Thank you very much.
Your Worship, I move to adopt the agenda as amended.
Deputy Mayor Walls has moved to accept the agenda as amended. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is adoption of the December 7th, 2016 regular council meeting minutes.
So move, Your Worship.
I have a motion to accept the regular council meeting minutes of December the 2nd. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next item is the adoption of the December 14, 2016 special council meeting minutes.
So moved, Your Worship.
Deputy Mayor Walls has moved adoption of the special council meeting minutes of December 14th, 2016. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And first item on the agenda is 6.1, Council Procedural Bylaw 16-18. Legislative Services, please.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, under the Municipal Government Act, council may pass bylaws in relation to procedure and conduct of council committees, and other bodies established by council. Section 180 of the same act specifically states that council may only act by resolution or by bylaw. Because all of council's direction must be done at a council meeting, it is important that council establish procedures to help with their decision-making process. The purpose of bylaw 1618 is to provide guidelines to help council be clear when communicating its intentions with administration. It also establishes proper procedure for different kinds of council meetings. Administration is confident that these procedures will result in a more efficient and informed decision-making process for council, and that those decisions will be carried out by administration with clarity. Council and administration met and discussed the proposed bylaw at the December 14th special council meeting, and a number of amendments at that time were discussed for the proposed bylaw. Among those amendments are the following. We've added definitions for conflict of interest, offensive words, and question period. We've put in the addition of the Canada 150 Committee and the Names Advisory Committee. They were omitted in the first draft, as well as the terms of reference for those committees. We've made a change for the requirement for a unanimous vote to a 2/3 vote for adding or removing items from the council agenda, including urgent business. There's an amendment for the requirement for members to stand and await permission to leave. Instead, they must seek recognition from the chair. Another amendment is to allow for a 2/3 vote instead of a unanimous vote in order to extend council meeting by 1 hour. And it's not specific to the item that council's on. It's for the entire meeting. We've added a requirement that any non-factual or vexatious correspondence to council be filed by the town clerk. We've also added an amendment to allow delegations to speak for 10 minutes instead of 5 minutes. There's an amendment to allow members to speak twice to a motion instead of just once. Additionally, tonight, we're making a recommendation for one more amendment. It's not indicated in the attached bylaw, but the amendment that we'd like to make is to allow the chair discretion on extending time for a member to speak. And all of the amendments that I've mentioned are in red in the bylaw. Before council makes a motion for second reading on this bylaw, we want to ensure that the majority of council's concerns were met, and if they weren't, we would recommend postponing this matter to a further meeting so that we can discuss the changes if needed. On the other hand, if council is satisfied with the amendments that we're recommending that council give second and third reading to the bylaw tonight. We really want to give the bylaw a try, but we know that we don't always get everything right the first time around. So to ensure that the bylaw is working, we're also recommending that we review the bylaw in 3 months' time at a committee of the whole meeting. And then we're also recommending a further review past that at 6 months. And that's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. Councillor Sobel?
Thank you, Your Worship. First off, I guess I want to express my appreciation, my gratitude to administration for the job they've done on this and for having the courtesy of listening to council's concerns that were expressed on December 14th. Certainly, the changes are appreciated, and I also want to make it very clear that I support the concept of this bylaw, the making things clearer and easier for everyone is I believe, something that should be a priority for everyone, both in administration and council. But having said that, I've gone through the bylaw closer again, and there's some minor issues that I think could be rectified with the 3-month trial basis, but there's a couple of very fundamental issues that I have with the bylaw, and I believe I would like the opportunity, at any rate, to discuss these prior to voting or putting a second motion into this. So unless there's, I mean, my motion would be to postpone this, Your Worship, to a further date, so that we can discuss this with administration.
Councillor Peterson?
I-
Councillor Peterson?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just have a question for Councillor Sobel. So, when you say that you just want to defer this for further discussion at another time, so are you thinking about an informal, like, committee of the whole meeting with administration to discuss it?
Well, committee of the wholes don't exist at this point, but.
Well, no, but they will soon.
Well, we don't know.
Well, maybe, yeah.
But I was just following up on the municipal clerk's recommendation that this could be postponed to a further meeting. And I certainly don't have an issue with discussing this at a future public meeting as well. I don't think there's anything of a confidential nature here. The bylaw is the proposed bylaw is written, and there's just some I think even I dare refer to them as philosophical ideas that I need some answers to.
Thank you.
I'm wondering if there isn't value. I guess I had an opportunity in our last meeting to talk about all the issues that I had with them and relative to this, and I see lots of other input from council members showing up here. And I guess what I would like is that I'd like to hear council's concerns just so that I can reflect on them. Because people clearly have things that I haven't caught or that I haven't attended to. So I guess that's what I'm asking, Your Worship. I'd like to know how other people are feeling about it, just and what sections that they think need refining. Because I really respect that, and I think those sober second thoughts are a good thing for us to all look at, and I respect my fellow councillors' input in that.
Well, I'm certainly willing to have that discussion today, if that's what the council would like to have, and administration. If administration wants to weigh in here, it's okay with me.
My question would be, are we going to be going into second reading, or do you want to, because I don't know what the issues are or where we're going with this. This is, I'm in the dark in regards to this. So, Councillor Graychuck, did you want to add a comment?
Yeah, I would just like to say that, I was thinking that Councillor Sobel was right, but, it's kind of a 90-day trial period that we can massage it after 90 days. I think it would really give us a chance to feel if this is going the right direction. So am I getting this clearly, that in 90 days we can adjust this whole thing? And 90 days isn't a long time for anybody to wait unless it's something that's, if I may phrase it this way, murderous, that can affect all of us. We can wait 90 days to massage it, I would think. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Councillor Blokman?
Thank you, Your Worship. I would like to thank administration for all the time and effort you put into this, and I certainly don't want to sit here and slam this. I, however, as an elected official, I get the feeling I'm getting handcuffed to some point. I'm getting controlled. I don't know how true those statements are. I have to admit, I have not had time to read all 65 pages of this yet. I do have some issues with some of the stuff that's in there. But honestly, I haven't had a chance to read the whole thing other than what we've gone through on the 14th and tonight, I guess. Those are just my feelings, and
Okay, thank you.
I would prefer if we put this off myself.
Okay. Did you have something you wanted to add? No? Okay. So in that case then, because there seems to be a desire on both sides in regards to whether or not we take this to second reading, Councillor Sobel, if you wanted to make a motion to postpone to a date, and then your reasoning for that, and then we'll take a vote on it.
Well, I have, first of all, I have no problem with outlining my concerns, and then if council would afford me that opportunity. So, some of these are fairly minor, that basically, I think it's more of a question rather than an issue, but there's some of them are issues, and one of them refers to, I know the terminology of your position, Ms. Swatsky, is down as town clerk, and I'm surprised that that's not municipal clerk. I'd always learn that, but once again, that's an extremely minor thing, and I would also suggest that Section 17, in Section 17, the Policy Review Committee is missing. Now, I made notes, so I'm going to refer to the bylaw. Section 21. So my question on Section 21 would be, when we talk about a two-thirds vote being required to change location of a meeting, is that is that two-thirds of councillors who are going to be present, or two-thirds of council as they sit? And I'm not looking for any answers, so I'll just go through all the ones that I've got. 22B, there's a 6 p.m. start for regular council meetings, and I guess I'm curious as to what the reasoning of that is, and I'm sure there's a good reason for that. And I'm just not sure what that is yet. 40A. I guess my question in regards to 40A would be, with this addition and the change in timing, whether this is focused on eliminating last-minute additions or addendums to the schedule, to council's agenda. That's the word. And in F, 40F, the word that is included in there is exceptional circumstances, and I see that there's no definition for that. So I'm curious as to what would constitute exceptional circumstances. 75, Section 75 CDE. And once again, my fellow councillors may disagree with me. I think I'm commenting on this more in tune with what Councillor Blokeland just said. I do find that restrictive. The question is whether it is too restrictive, with the goal being to expedite matters, I guess. Maybe it's not. This is, CDE is one of the questions I had that I felt might be dealt with a 90-day trial period. So I'm willing to let that, see how that runs. On to 77C. It's got committees shall confirm minutes of previous minutes of previous meetings. I don't know if is that a typo, or is that supposed to be committees? But when we say, like, who is the committee that's supposed to do that?
So all of council committees at the meetings shall confirm them.
So councillors on committees? Councillors who are on committees?
Committees themselves. So when you're at a committee meeting, you approve the minutes from the last meeting at that committee meeting. That's what that's.
All right.
Your worship,
Go ahead.
would a better word be ratified?
All right, well, a committee is an inanimate subject. You can't have a committee doing that. It's got to be a person confirming. I don't know how a committee can do that. I may be on a committee, but I'm not the committee.
Your worship.
Go ahead.
I'm
The
into
committee's minutes
terminology
the
here.
committee's minutes should be ratified, shall be ratified.
By,
The minutes of the committee shall be ratified.
yeah, okay,
By members of the committee.
by members of the committee.
Goes without saying.
All right. 80B. This deals with the 6 PM reconvening time, should the meeting on the regular council meeting date go over. I simply find this unworkable, very, very concerning for me. I'm setting dates for meetings 2 weeks ahead. I think, the majority of council, I think we'll have an issue all of a sudden on a Wednesday, convening or reconvening on at 6 PM the following day. I really find that very problematic. 82. There's something about, just give me a second here to find it. Loss of quorum, it dealt with.
Can't help that.
And if you don't have quorum, you can't.
Oh, no, I guess my question in regards to 82 was, why would 82 be able to go to a next regular council meeting or a special council meeting when 80 tells us that if we don't get finished, it goes to the 6 PM? I guess I'm just confused as to why we've got two different rules there that are in play.
Did you, Counselor Sobel, did you want to, Counselor Peterson may be able to answer that
If
question for you.
somebody falls over, then it's different.
No,
than somebody-
you're not following me, though. So 82 says if there's loss of quorum, it goes to the next council meeting. But 80 says if we don't get finished, it goes to 6 PM the next day. So
Yeah, I understand.
it's inconsistent, I guess, is where I'm coming from.
Go ahead.
Just as a point of clarification, in 80, it's unless council directs otherwise.
Yeah. Under 80B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand why it's not going to the next council meeting. Why we're even raising this issue of a 6 o'clock the next day meeting? I don't get it. And 85. In 85 and 86, and once again, I think this is an issue that maybe should be open for discussion with council. So this indicates that a person from the community wishing to talk to council could very well be stopped by doing so by administration. And I appreciate, I appreciate I guess the reasoning behind this, but it concerns me when our citizens, if they wish to approach council, would not have that opportunity. And if that's the way it is now,
That's the way it is now.
it's never been an issue, but when you see it in writing in this fashion, it's concerns me. It has been? Okay.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to speak to that quickly. This is, the reasoning for putting this in here is if administration can solve what they need before coming to council, then they can get quicker resolution by doing so. That's the reason it's in there.
Okay. And my last one was on 128. Oh, and that's, in section 47C, there's an indication that all votes against would be recorded. So I'm wondering why do we have an option for a recorded vote when it's recorded anyway? And that's all I have. Those are the issues that I have, Your Worship, and I'd really like an opportunity to maybe have an open discussion with administration at some time in the future and the rest of council. And just and once again, I guess I raise these as issues, as concerns, but they may very well be not concerns. They may very well have a very good explanation, and I might be fine with them. But there are a couple there that I do have considerable issue with.
Thank you. Did you want to add something in regards to that, Ms. Swatsky? Okay. So I guess I'll ask administration first, these issues that were brought forward, can we address these issues tonight, or would you like some additional time to review them?
Your Worship, I think it would be really beneficial for council and for administration to have discussions about this, informal discussions, so we can work through it, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding, just from some of the concerns brought forward tonight, and I think just a discussion would help ease some of those concerns.
Thank you. Councillor Blokeland, did you have something that you wanted to add?
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Sobel basically went through most of my stuff I had written down. The recorded vote issue, Jen, the recorded vote issue on 128. Is every vote recorded, or just
Yeah.
every vote we make is recorded?
Correct, yes.
Every-
That can be taken out of the bylaw. Yeah. Currently, every vote is recorded, only if someone votes against.
Somebody votes against it,
Right.
the councillor that's voting against, that's not recorded?
the person who's, yes, the counselor who votes against is recorded. Those voting in favor are not recorded. So only the
Okay.
person against.
Okay, thank you.
And that's all, Councillor Loveland?
Yes, thank you,
Okay,
Your
good,
Worship.
thank you. So in that case, then, Councillor Sobel will take a motion to postpone.
Well, I guess I think actually our CEO wants something,
Ah,
and
okay.
I'd also like a proposed date by administration.
There you go.
We're on
Through the
same-
chair, you took the words right out of my mouth with respect, Councillor Sobel. We would just propose, there's two options. We could do it the next regular council meeting on the 11th. We could do it the week prior if council so chooses, at a special meeting or another meeting at your discretion. But in discussion with staff, we feel, and this is why we wanted to take the time for council to get into it and why we propose the review dates. We certainly feel comfortable that we can address your concerns. Absolutely, there's flexibility in these things because there's so many different ways. We went into this, and I want to, again, commend Jen for working really hard on this. We went into this a little bit blind because we weren't sure where council sits, and so we wanted to put this in front of you because it's important for you to tell us where you want to go and where you don't want to go. So that's really, really valuable to us, and thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
January 11th? Did
Yeah,
you
go
say?
for January 11th.
And just before I make that motion, just so all of council's on the same page and administration is afforded the opportunity to respond to any other concerns, would it be fair to suggest any other members of council perhaps indicate to administration what, if any, concerns they have, just so she's got everything to come back on the 11th?
I'm just wondering, in your motion, can you say that any other member of council that has any items, bring them forward to administration?
I was going to say maybe give everyone this opportunity right now.
No? Yeah, and does anybody else have any other concerns that you want to bring forward?
None, Your Worship.
None? No? Okay.
Then, yep.
Councillor
sorry.
Oakland?
One of the main concerns I had, and Councillor Sobel mentioned it, was 80A and B. I have very difficult time getting myself prepared for council meetings, and I don't know if it's in the best interest to try and bounce back on the next day to finish a council meeting. I have no objection to starting a meeting at 6 o'clock. But I would preferably like to see that meeting, the business of that meeting done that night, instead of having to turn around and come back Thursday night. Not only is it hard for me, maybe hard for other councillors too, but I imagine there's a cost attached to having a meeting the second night also. So I'm not in favor of that one at all. And the other ones I have some objections to are just minor things.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Wallace?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm not sure if it was already hit or not, but 38 C was one of my concerns.
3-8.
Yeah, 38C. And I can't seem to find it, but with the one where if a counselor brings some information forward, you have to disclose who came from. And I believe it's our job as elected officials. It is our job to represent the citizens. And if a group of citizens come forward and say, Brad, this is the way you're voting, whether it's the way I wish to or not, that is the way I need to vote. So I think that's got to be somehow addressed in there. I want to commend administration on an exceptional job. I believe they have spent a lot of time on this. I believe we have a very good working bylaw. It's just need a little bit of tweaking. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you very much. Councillor Graychuk?
Yeah, excuse me, on 126A, it says does not receive the required number or vote. Well, don't we have to vote, so how can you not receive the required number of votes?
I'm sorry, Your Worship, which
On
under what section?
126A. We all have to vote. I don't understand the whole line.
Your
Yeah.
Your worship, that's simply
Yes.
saying that when a motion is lost, so when it's defeated, or it is defeated when it doesn't get the correct number of votes to pass it. Does that make sense?
So in other words, if there were 6 people voting and only 2 voted in favor, it's lost. Or if it's a
redundant, though.
tie.
I mean, of course that goes that way. It's redundant.
Yeah, it's redundant, but it's still paperwork. We're a government
I mean,
to a certain
it's
extent.
under the MGA. I mean, it's just,
The B is also already.
Yeah. And
Anyway.
I think and I think this is actually covered on the MGA, yeah. Uh-oh. I understand the front door's locked. Somebody must want to spend an exciting So, is there any other items? Councillor Graychuck, did you have another item
I'm
you wanted
good.
to
No,
bring
thank
forward?
you.
So if that's the case then, if there's no other items, go ahead and make your motion, please.
Your worship, I
Councillor
would
Sobel.
move that this matter be postponed until January the 11th, 2017, for further discussion.
Thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Walls?
Your worship, not to, I don't wish to debate the issue, but I was wondering if there's any other things we come across, if we could email administration and council, and that way, just as we're all cruising through this.
Thank you very much. So we have a motion to postpone the bylaw 1618 until January the 11th, 2017. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda, 7.1, Progress Report on the Volunteer Driver Program, KARE, and originated by FCSS, and if you'd like to come forward. Deputy Mayor Walls?
Thank you, Your Worship. Although it's, I potentially don't have a potential bias, there's that potential for me to have that perception to be out there. And Your Worship, I would just caution myself, and I will be excusing myself from the meeting, this portion of the meeting.
And if I would be allowed to make a comment, I think this is just a report. There is no information or no decision that we have to make.
Your Worship, I respect that, but I still think it's in my best interest to excuse myself.
Please show that Deputy Mayor Walls has excused himself, and you have the time on there. Okay, thank you. So, ladies, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. So we're here to give you a little bit of a progress report on the CARE program. Before you, in the agenda, is a lengthy report. I'm just going to touch on a few things, and then if you have any questions, you can ask away. So again, the program started on April 28th, 2016 as a pilot project, and it will be reevaluated in May of 2017. To start off, the program has been very well received with our clients. They have nothing but positive feedback to share with us about it. And we plan to generate some of those comments and share them with you at the next update. We've outlined in this report what you need to do if you're a client and you want to see if you're going to be accepted into the program. And then we've also outlined what it's like to be a volunteer driver and everything that you need to do to become a volunteer driver. So in saying that, since April 23rd to December 21st, we currently have 34 active clients, 33 seniors, 2 low-income families, and have provided 114 trips. 6 trips canceled by clients due to illness or change in their appointments, and 6 rides unable to accommodate, and that's because our volunteers are not available at that time. Any questions?
Councillor Graychuck?
Thank you, Your Worship. Can you repeat that? Thank you very much for this work, by the way.
You're welcome.
How many people use the service since it started?
We have done 114 trips since April.
And the cancellations, is that included in that, or no, that's actual trips?
6 trips were canceled by the clients, and then 6 we are unable to provide the trip because our volunteers aren't available to fill those trips.
Thank you.
And that could be last minute, they could be phoning this morning and they need a trip at 10 o'clock in the morning. So if they phone at 8:30, sometimes we're not able to accommodate same day, but we
Or even the
definitely
day
try.
before.
Yeah.
We sometimes can't accommodate.
In one more follow-up, Your Worship.
Please.
And what was the average, any idea of the average cost of the trips?
The
Maybe-
cost to whom? To
To
the client?
Yeah,
Calgary, from Calgary, here to Calgary, return is $45, and then it's per kilometer.
In town, but it's a minimum of $3.50 in town,
Yeah.
or $3.
Yeah, and to go to Drumheller, it's 85 return, and to Red Deer, I can't remember what.
We've only
that
had
was.
one trip to Red Deer.
mostly to Calgary is what you're saying.
Majority of them are to Calgary,
Calgary for
yes.
medical appointments.
None to Vegas or anything like that?
Not yet.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know who was first. Councillor Fuel?
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, ladies, for your report and the written report that you've included. Can I just double check with you? This is a not-for-profit program. So the drivers are basically paid out their expenses?
Out-of-pocket expenses.
Out-of-pocket expenses are covered. So they don't make a profit on this CARE program. Can you tell me if this type of program runs in any other Alberta towns?
Yes, we've discussed, and we're really close connected with Canmore.
And they've had success as well? As far as your insurance for the drivers, can you tell us what kind of insurance they need to have to be a volunteer driver and approved?
Just a regular insurance.
Just regular insurance, okay. So, and you said this program is still a pilot program until the end of April?
That's
And then it's gonna be reevaluated
That's
anyway?
right.
Okay. Has Canmore had any concerns or controversies as far as their program running, as far as taxi services and things like that?
Not that I'm aware of. Mavis from FCSS in Canmore has not expressed any.
And we spent a lot of time when we were getting this up and going, and we spent a lot of time on the phone and emails back and forth. Met her at one of the workshops I was at, and they just had nothing but positive things to say about the program, and that it's just growing leaps and bounds, and they actually have a hard time keeping up with the demand, and they just said it's wonderful.
So with this being a not-for-profit service, and with the experiences and contact you've had with Canmore and other places, you obviously see this as not being a taxi service.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Blokeland?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through the chair to the ladies, I have a few questions. When you talk about 34 clients, do you have can you explain that to me? Is that a client list through FCSS or just anybody phones up?
Some of them are our clients currently, yeah, and some of them are not.
So they have to fill out an application. There's an application process. So most of our clients are either home support or they're referral. So they come from another social agency within Strathmore or surrounding area. And we've had a couple of low-income families as well.
Okay, thank you. You talk about Canmore, and I have a lot of information on Canmore. It's correct that Canmore uses coupons for in-town service,
They have
right?
that program as well.
Since their volunteer program does not operate within the town. They operate strictly out of town, out of
No.
Canmore?
No, they don't.
It's Canmore, Banff, and Rocky, town of, is it Bighorn?
Eggshell?
The county,
No, it's the municipal district of Bighorn.
yeah, Bighorn, yeah, the county, yeah.
They're
And
vol-
they have a taxi, they do have a taxi
Yeah,
program.
yeah.
The taxi companies have to apply, and they have to also follow the bylaw.
The
That's-
taxi bylaw.
The taxi bylaw. If they don't adhere to the taxi bylaw, they are not part of the taxi voucher program.
So the volunteer program in Canmore operates in the town of Canmore?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one last question on the insurance. You said the drivers carry insurance on their vehicles, obviously. And that's sufficient? Now, this is a town-sponsored program under FCSS. Is there no third-party liability insurance through the town?
I'm not sure what you mean is sponsored by the town.
So if these drivers get in an accident on the way to Calgary or Red
It's a
Deer,
volunteer driver program, so the driver
they're
would be
gonna explain,
liable.
they're gonna explain to their insurance company that they're moving people around under a town program and their insurance company's gonna stand behind them?
Yep.
Okay. That's all I have. Thanks, ladies.
I don't know who was next, but Councillor Peterson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I appreciate the report. one of the things when I knew you were coming to council and I was looking at your excellent report, in anticipation of the things that we are all concerned about, I found through the Seniors Advisory Committee a program called the Edmonton Seniors Coordinating Council, which I'm sure you're familiar with, that has an assisted transportation volunteer driver program, and they use the Insurance Bureau of Canada's toolkit. So is that something that, then you considered that, and?
That's what we use.
That's what we use. That's what we
I
have.
just, yeah,
Yes,
so I just wanted to
absolutely.
say, when I went through your CARE program prior to coming to the meeting tonight, took your CARE program, I had not set it up against the volunteer driver program toolkit, but your due diligence was really, really appreciated.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And really in-depth. I really appreciate it.
Your worship, could I just add, could you just tell me again where the toolkit's from? What?
It's actually, the toolkit is called the Assisted Transportation Volunteer Driver Program. And you can find it online at the Edmonton Seniors Coordinating Council. And I can give you the webpage,
You can use this.
www.seniorscouncil.net.
Great, thank you.
And this insurance card we handed out, I think, last time.
Yes.
And it's the insurance information for volunteer drivers in community-based programs
Yeah.
or organizations providing transportation.
And that's from the Insurance Bureau of Canada as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Councillor Blockton, did you have something further?
Oh, I did shut my light off, I'm sorry, but
okay.
if I could,
Sure, by all means.
I did show that insurance card to an insurance broker, and they won't even look at it. So that's
Yeah,
why
you
that's why I'm
mentioned that
asking these
before.
questions.
Yeah, and actually, after you had mentioned that to us, I did call them and I expressed that you had mentioned that, and they couldn't understand why. They said that this is what they follow in Canada, so they were quite surprised. So I guess it all depends on who your insurance company is with.
Maybe I missed something here. Did you say you showed that card to an insurance broker and he wasn't in agreement with the card?
The broker phoned the insurance company, which was one of the biggest ones in Canada, and read off of that card. And the person at the other end of the line said that their company would not insure these drivers. That's why I was asking these questions.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
And if I could just add one more thing, the other cab company here in town was in to see me this week, and they came in to get our business cards to help promote our program. So it was nice to see that support in the community.
Okay, thank you very much. One more? Go ahead, Councillor Peterson.
So just in the interest of the ongoing conversation in community, the people that are accessing this program, are they people who would normally access a cab? Like being that a cab company came to you asking for promotional materials, would you say that these are people that would normally take cabs in community, or would they need an alternative?
I think they need an alternative transportation, and that's the void we're filling. That's what came out of our transportation meeting, to fill that void. If they are in town, we can't facilitate, we tell them to call a cab. Another service that we provide is the companion component.
Yes.
That, if they phone us and they need a ride, but they need to go to blood work at the hospital, we'll make those appointments online for them and book the driver at the
Really?
same time. That way, they don't have to wait they don't have to sit at the hospital and wait, the driver nor the patient. So we do more than just provide a ride with this program.
And the driver will go in sometimes with the client and sit in the hospital with them, whether it's in Calgary for chemo treatment or whether it's just blood work at the lab here.
Your Worship, I just want to say I find that amazingly commendable, and it speaks so clearly, as you well know, Catherine, because you sit on the Seniors Advisory, both of you. I really appreciate your support there too. It is so clearly what they articulated as being a gap, and I really appreciate the work that you've done in fulfilling that.
I'm very proud of it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll accept a motion to accept the report as information.
So moved, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, I'll make that motion, Your Worship.
And that FCSS staff return April 2017 for progress report?
Absolutely.
In your motion? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure he did. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much.
Have a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas, and thank you for all of the work that you do in regards to this. Much appreciated. And we'll just take a moment and have Deputy Mayor Walls come back.
Vote on it?
And if the record would show that Deputy Mayor Walls has returned. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is Fortis LED streetlight conversion and corporate services.
Mel is off this week with his family for Christmas. Staff have looked at it, Mel and I have talked about it in detail, and we would recommend, we'd recommend the recommendation and move ahead with the Fortis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Councillor Graycheck?
Thank you, Your Worship. So getting back to my original comments, back at another meeting, I was concerned that once the lights are paid for, that the charges continue forever. Is this not correct? Or am I wrong, reading that wrong? I read that someplace in a contract, or I'm talking about the 571.
Do we have a copy of the agreement? I don't
Yeah. I think it continues after the
I want to
contract.
see the agreement because we asked for
No?
some adjustments.
I would like that checked out for sure.
I'll speak to it.
If I may?
I thought Raheen had addressed that issue in regards to a further savings after the initial cost to install was completed. There would be an additional savings on that. And I just forget what the amount was. Go ahead.
Your Worship, he did not he did indicate an amount. So you pay for the street lights for a certain amount of years, and then once you're done paying for the street lights, that amount goes away and you pay your regular amount that you pay for the electricity.
So there would be an additional savings on top of the 5,700 after the streetlights are paid.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct, Your Worship. It's a very small amount of money, but there still is some
Additional savings.
savings.
Your Worship?
Go ahead, Councillor Sobel.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, that my understanding is it's 571 once the lights are converted. That's the savings over what
Yes.
we're paying now.
Yes.
So we're saving 571 per light now, as soon as they're converted. Once they're paid for, that 571 turns into about $22 or $23 per light that we save. It jumps up because then the lights are paid for. That was my understanding anyway.
Go ahead, Mr. Thackeray first.
In addition, from the last meeting, we would recommend that council also look at the lower K lights, the 3,000.
That's the one.
Because there will be a savings by going to the threes, rather than the ones that were proposed, which I believe were 4,000 K.
And reading or listening to what Raheen said, I think they were looking at doing the 3,000, but I think it should be in our motion if we're going to be doing it.
And
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to do.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else that you wish to add?
Oh,
Councillor Peterson?
Well, I just want to follow up on what Councillor Graycheck and Councillor Sobel spoke about in regard to the recovery period and the savings. My understanding is that once that the savings that are realized belong to Fortis, not us, at some point.
Could you explain what you mean by that?
Well, so they're paying for it up front,
Right?
right? And so when the cost is, after 20 years, has been mitigated, then there is an additional savings. Are you sure that's ours?
Absolutely.
See, that's what I'm, like, I don't have the agreement sitting in front of me, so I don't know.
Go ahead, sir.
If council has any hesitation, council could make a conditional resolution to support it, subject to some conditions, such as the 3,000 K, any savings realized. So it could be a conditional approval if council's amenable to that, or council could defeat the motion.
Just to follow up on that, my understanding from our last meeting was that in the agreement, the 3,000, the lower K would be in the agreement, but also that we would have a financial analysis. My understanding was that Councillor Graychuk asked for a financial analysis, but I'm not sure about that. So, the cost of the LED, the recouping of the costs, less utility rebates, annual savings, term savings, payback.
Go ahead, sir.
If council wishes to have a more detailed spreadsheet, this is just a summary. We were under the impression that council was interested in moving ahead, but we certainly, we can provide you the details behind these numbers. I don't have that information tonight, but I can certainly provide it to you, and council could postpone this to January 11th.
Yeah, I don't, guess, Your Worship, I'd be prepared to make that motion to defer. I would move that we defer this until the January 11th meeting. And in speaking to that, my reasons for doing so is that I want to see the agreement. I want to see that we have a lower K lighting ratio, and I want to see a full cost analysis.
Thank you. Councillor Graychuk, did you have something you wanted to bring forward?
I just want to say that I have the greatest respect for Fortis, by the way, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I think they're a great company. But I'm always, and I've learned in history that I'm very concerned when somebody comes, a big company that comes to us, what's the advantage to Fortis? I mean, there's got to be an advantage. I mean, they don't, do they really, sure they're concerned whether we save or not, and that's what they said that night, but there's got to be other reasons that I'm sorry, I'm nervous about. And the other thing I'm concerned about in 3 to 5 years, with technology moving the way it is they're going to come with another light service that's going to be better and better, and and it never ends, with this great programs that we're getting. And I'm really concerned about it, because it could change in 2 years, and all of a sudden we're tied into this.
Well, may I speak, Your Worship? The key factor is in where it says, in effect, that the town of Strathmore realizes some of the savings. So I want to know what percentage of the savings, because we're not getting all of the savings. That's what you're saying. Am I correct, Councillor Graychuk?
Yeah,
We're not. And so I agree with you. I think Fortis is a wonderful company. I think this is a great opportunity. But I think we need to look at the long term, because one of the things that I want to ensure is that we're not doing a disservice to our community 30 years from now by literally losing money over the long term. That in the front end, when you front load it, definitely, it's a huge benefit to the community to have LED lights. But if if at the end of a 30-year period, we have cost our community a lot of money, I think that's an analysis we need to see.
I just want to follow up. Like I say, the technology could change overnight, and all of a sudden we're tied into this contract. It concerns me.
Go ahead.
Through the chair, we appreciate and thank council for bringing these issues up to our attention. We will certainly provide the information requested, and we certainly want to address your concerns. We certainly don't want you to go into this blindly or not feeling any comfort It's an important big step for the town, so. And I believe your Councillor Graychuk, you're correct. Fortis will make money. That's why they're doing this, and I think
Yes.
that's why their dividend's gone up
Absolutely.
every year for 40 years.
Councillor Peterson made a motion that we postpone until January the 11th and confirm that it's going into the 3,000 lumen lights and a
Cost analysis,
cost analysis in regards to the lights be brought forward at that time.
a long-term cost analysis.
Long-term cost analysis. Did you want to add something, sir?
Yes, if I may, the point, I believe, I'm not sure which member of council brought it up, the Fortis could not confirm the 3,000 K. They said that it was a desire, but I think that's, in discussion with Director Corporate Services, I think this is an important piece because it does have an impact on the final numbers. And so I think it would be worthwhile to confirm that or not.
Yes.
Good, thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Okay, Councillor Blokland.
Thank you, Your Worship. I believe when Ruhin was here last meeting, his presentation was based on the 4,000 model instead of the 3,000. So he was going to, if I understood right, he was going to send information back here on the 3,000 or show up again for a different cost on the 3,000. But my question on this, the new subdivisions that are happening, like Edgefield, are they already LED? Are there already the new style lights?
Go ahead,
Chair,
sir.
I'm not familiar with the subdivision light standard at this time. I can certainly find out. My comment earlier about confirming the 3,000 versus the 4,000, I think if that's a desire of council, we certainly will make that a condition. And so we want to confirm that going forward. And this is why I brought it up, was to make sure council was comfortable with the 3 versus the 4. And we'll certainly bring back some more information. Thank you.
Did you have something further, sir?
No, that's good for me, thanks.
And we have a motion on the floor then. And you have that motion? Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is council committee appointments.
Your Worship, I would move that council appoint all members to the various boards as indicated above for a one-year term.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Swatsky has something, Your Worship.
Go ahead, Ms. Swatsky.
Your Worship, there's a couple of amendments that need to be made to that list that is not in the public agenda. So
Go ahead.
if I can just state them, if that's okay?
Yes.
So we need to remove Miss Yvonne Shaw. She's resigned from the Names Advisory Committee. We also need to remove from the Regional Recreation Enhancement Committee Miss Jennifer Neufeld and Miss Nicole Skifton. And there was also an application put forward for the Assessment Review Board. The name, not too sure if council wants to include or appoint a new member at this time.
Which board was it?
The Assessment Review Board. There was an application brought forward tonight.
Yes, and I would move that Ms. Debbie Enslin be appointed to the Assessment Review Board. Could you please add that to my motion, Your Worship?
You just on that. And was there anything else in regards to the motion that we needed to change? No?
Just to thank everyone for their service, Your Worship.
Very much so. Councillor Sobel?
There is one other change, Your Worship. Under the Traffic Advisory Committee, we have Constable Adam Arendis, who has been transferred to Calgary and is being replaced by Corporal Chris Hernick, H-R-Y-N-R-Y. I'm sorry, H-R-Y-N-Y-K, from the RCMP Strathmore Detachment.
And you accept that as a friendly amendment?
Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead.
Your Worship, just a suggestion, we may not want to put a name under there. And in the terms of reference, it does state that one RCMP member shall be appointed. Things could change and we could just leave the name off if council so chooses.
Yeah, I just wanted to clear up that Adam's name was on there anyway, so, yeah.
So then on that amendment, you're just going to remove Constable Adam Ardendis's name, and it's already on the terms of reference that there is one RCMP member. Okay.
Fine.
Go ahead, sir. Oh, no. All righty,
Yes.
you wanted to?
Call a question.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much.
Your Worship, I wonder, while we're on this topic, if I could just have a moment of council's time.
Yes.
We find ourselves in kind of an envious position of having persons of our community that want to get onto committees. And I know that seems strange at times, but sometimes these committees do fill up, although I know that right now there are a number of committees that are not filled, and that is, and I would mention that they're the Regional Recreation Enhancement Committee, the Library Board, and the Seniors Advisory Committee,
Community Arts Advisory Board.
and the Community Arts Advisory. All four of those are lacking members. But we do have applications for committees that are full right now. And with that in mind, I'm wondering if it would be prudent to have administration formulate some methodology of ensuring that people who are waiting to get on a committee have that opportunity. And I'd be prepared to make a motion on that as soon as I go and get my paper. So, Your Worship, with that in mind, I would move that administration investigate a methodology of appointing community members to committees with a focus on ensuring community members waiting to join committees which are full have that opportunity to do so.
Thank you very much. Discussion? Now, yeah, nothing else on that? No, okay. All in favor? Thank you very much. And next is 8.1, proposed planning workshop. Planning and development. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. If I may speak through the chair, as coming out of the HR report, staff proposes to run a planning and development business workshop. The essential focus of this workshop would be to understand what's working well, what's not working well, what are potential issues and barriers to development, investment, subdivision, and related servicing and development agreements. What are the desired changes to the application review and approval process? What does a complete application look like? Describe changes that could be desired and how these would impact development. And how could the land use bylaw be changed to address issues, and what would the future land use bylaw look like? We would propose that sometime in February, we would instigate a facilitated workshop, which we would invite members from the chamber, local businesses, developers. We would also consider inviting major corporate participants in our community, such as Canadian Tire, real estate, all of council and staff, in order to be proactive and get a lot of the issues out on the table and start working our way through these with a plan of action to be developed from this. So the staff is recommending that council receive this report, and we would hope that council would endorse this step moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions? Go ahead, Councillor Graychuk.
I think it's a great idea, but you would need a motion, would you, or would you like, or just
Motion would be appreciated, but it's at your discretion.
Did you have a, we'll see what Deputy Mayor Walls has to say here.
Your
Go ahead.
Worship, thank you very much. And I think this is an exceptional way for us to find out what's working, what's not, and perhaps an opportunity for us to better our planning development. And I'm excited to see what comes out of this. My question to administration is if this works well, would you consider doing this with other areas of within administration, for example, maybe the utilities department, to see how we can work better with the public on some of the issues there, or not issues, but maybe see how we can get an idea of how they're working with the public. I understand there's a bit of some people have concerns about the billing dates and so forth, but maybe that may be an opportunity for administration to work with the citizens that have those types of concerns, and perhaps maybe an opportunity for sides to come to an agreeable terms as well.
Certainly, anything's possible, yes.
Your Worship, I'm prepared to make a motion, if that helps.
Go ahead, make the motion, please.
Your Worship, I would move that council support the staff proposal conducting a planning workshop to provide local stakeholders in the development industry an opportunity to provide feedback to staff regarding the town's planning, development, subdivision, and related processes.
Thank you. Did you want to speak to that? Councillor Field?
No, I just thought it was a great idea that I'm sure the business community would appreciate the fact that the town and administration and staff are being proactive in trying to address some of the concerns and questions they may have. So I think it's a very good idea to be proactive that way and to be coming forward with this.
Thank you. Councillor Sobel?
Thank you. Yeah, I really like the idea, but I don't like approving these without a budget. And so I'm thinking we're a little premature, personally. I just as soon wait until we find out what this is going to cost.
Go ahead, sir.
The budget is very nominal. It's a few $1,000s. And it's already in the, certainly it's already in the planning and development budget and in their contracted services.
Okay.
And Councillor Graychuk?
I just want to make sure that, to Councillor Field's motion, which I like, that we don't miss anybody in that interpretation of, because they weren't invited. So you did say businesses, right?
I believe I did. I said local stakeholders. I could add business if it would help. Local business stakeholders.
Yeah.
I could make that amendment or add that.
Just, we don't want to drop anybody out of this whole thing. And then including the, is there a name for that group that's got the 70 members? I don't know.
Go ahead, sir.
If I may, Your Worship, I would certainly want to have as many people as we can from the investment and development community, particularly locally, regionally, Calgary, metropolitan area. There are a number of firms that do business. There are major national companies that do business here. I would greatly value their contribution because they probably know more about how we tick than perhaps anybody else because they have very, very good information. Thank you.
Councillor Buckland?
Thank you, Your Worship. Would a person like our Safety Codes Officer, Harry Solomon, be involved in these meetings?
If I may, through
As
the
I think he
chair,
should be.
Go ahead.
all departments that have an implication, whether it's planning, development, inspections, SEOs, engineering, operations, parks would participate in this project.
Councillor Sobel?
So I hate to bring up the almighty dollar again, but I'm a stickler for that kind of stuff. So can we amend the motion to include where these funds are coming from?
It's in the budget already,
Since
is
we
it?
don't, well, this particular item is not in the budget.
No.
If I may, the only cost would be hiring a third-party facilitator. Everything else is done in-house. So we would do the workshop in this building. We would do, the only cost would be bringing in some sandwiches or something and some soup.
I'm sorry, this would be facilitated by an outside party?
We would propose some names in early January to council, and council could choose if you wish.
All right.
It's not a big cost.
Well, I've seen facilitators come in at $10,000 and plus travel expenses, so once we get everything, we're looking at a $15,000, $20,000 project, and yes, that's not a great deal of money, but, I'd like to, I'm kind of more comfortable knowing what this is gonna cost, and before I vote on it, so if there's no, I won't be voting for this until I see a budget, so thank you.
Councillor Graychuk.
Yeah, you'd mentioned that, thank you, Your Worship, you'd mentioned that it would be in this building, it's not gonna be big enough. We're gonna have to rent the community center.
That could very well be. or
It
could
would be in,
one.
which would be in the budget, yeah, have to be in the budget, yeah. When you say you did, it wouldn't be much, what's your interpretation, it wouldn't be much?
It certainly would be under $10,000. I don't see this as being a, if we have to rent a larger facility, I have no idea what the cost would be, but I would have to look at that. But we've done it, I've seen it done before, it's a very modest cost. And we certainly are sensitive to the same issues because we have to be very careful with our money. Thank you.
Just a point, if we're using the Civic Center, do we pay rent to ourselves? Yes? Okay, good to know. I mean, it's an accounting, item, and I understand why we would do that. Okay. Councillor Fuel.
Your worship, I'd be prepared to withdraw my motion and make a motion to accept this as information until admin can come back with maybe more firm dollars amounts. So that being said, I can withdraw the motion. Then I'd like to make a motion that council accept this report for information with direction to come back with financial amounts.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is 8.2, Strathmore Agricultural Society, Letter of Intent. Legislative Services, please.
Yes, Your Worship. Council, in meeting with the Strathmore Agricultural Society, the CEO has indicated that there's preliminary discussions with the group in regards to furthering the relationship between the Agricultural Society and the town of Strathmore. A number of matters were discussed for consideration, and administration is seeking council's approval to send a letter of intent to the Agricultural Society on those matters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
Your Worship, I'd like to just say one thing.
Please do.
What are before we approve a letter, what's going to be in the letter? How many items, or what's it about? Are we spending, what's all in this letter?
Go ahead.
If I may, through the chair to the councillor, this is in relation to the town and the Ag Society discussing future locations. And just providing a letter of intent to the society that the town is committed to it. Thank you.
Councillor Peterson, did you have something?
Yes, Your Worship, I would move that council forward a letter of intent to the Strathmore Agricultural Society.
Thank you very much. No further discussion? All in favor? Carried. There was no one opposed, I don't think, was there? No. Okay. Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is 8.3, and I forget who was, that was administrative?
Your Worship, 8.3 has been dealt with under 7.3.
Thank you. Next item is 8.4, and somebody that has to do with the federal government. Who was?
Your Worship, if there's no questions, I would entertain making a motion.
Please make a motion.
I'd move the council authorize the mayor and CEO to sign the agreement with the federal government.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, thank you. Next item on our agenda is 10.1, and Deputy Mayor Walls.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Strathmore Ag Society had their annual general meeting, I believe it was help me out there, a couple weeks ago, I think it was, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
thank you, Your Worship. It was a full house, and that was it was nice to see so many members out there. I did put my name back forward as a board member, and was successful on getting that seat back. So that's all I had to report there, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, and congratulations. Always congratulate somebody when they have more work to do. 10.2 is an item that I want to touch base with today. Today I attended Calgary Regional Partnership, and of course they're looking at trying to understand what is going to happen with the Growth Management Board. And there is a discussion going on to try and understand what that's going to look like. They want to make sure that they can maintain the membership going forward. And one of the things that they're looking at doing is, while they're in discussion and working towards a growth management board, is to allow the communities that were part of Calgary Regional Partnership that are under 5,000 population to be able to sit at the table and to be part of the discussions in regards to setting up the Growth Management Board. And the members of Calgary Regional Partnership that were there were in agreement that we would want the communities, Turner Valley, Black Diamond, Redwood Meadows as an example, to be part of those discussions. And so the request was from Calgary Regional Partnership that we send a letter of support asking that these communities be included in that discussion. And that's just, like I say, just to include them in the discussion. So I'm just bringing you up to date in regards to that. And I have nothing further there. And
Your Worship, I'm prepared to make a motion if you're looking for one.
depending on what the motion's going to be.
Your Worship, I'd move that that council go into recess and then go into committee in camera to deal with land, labor, or legal.
Thank you. We have a motion to recess, and I'll recess for 5 minutes.
Roger.
And then there will be a motion to go in camera. So all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thank you very much, Monique.
Merry Christmas.
Can I have that?